So if we take a look at bubble 4, in bubble 4 you've got some motion code. And the motion response to either the A button being pressed or the B button being pressed. And if you look at the code though that's actually inside those, that code is identical. All right, these yellow blocks that are inside this one are the same as the yellow blocks that are inside that one. You can go ahead and run this code to see what it actually does, because the code is not wrong. The code actually works. So as you can see, these are all different motion functions that cause the aliens to move around the screen. Okay, so objective here, as we talked about earlier in the intro, is to shorten my code. Because this code is exactly the same, I can define this in a function and shorten the actual physical length of this code, the number of lines it consumes. So what I want to do is go to the bottom and create a function called moveAliens. And again, I'm just doing what the directions say here. And then what I want to do is I want to take all of these yellow blocks, but just from one of them, and put it inside that code. Now notice right now this code ends here at line 21. Okay, we're going to shorten this up significantly. So we're going to take all of that and put it inside the moveAliens function. And then once you've done that, just copied and paste one set of those yellow blocks entirely from alien 1 through 4 in there. You can actually take those out of the OBE, the onboard event codes. Now you might be saying, well, wait, it doesn't work anymore. You're right, it doesn't work anymore. All right, because remember, the other part of defining a function is then we have to call the function. So inside the blocks here, now I need to put the function for my aliens or moveAliens. So to do that, I'm going to go into functions and grab my function and put it inside both of those blocks. And then I will call that name of that function moveAliens. Again, if you called yours something different, please use the name you wrote. Please make sure you write it in the exact same way that you typed it in. And now we should, if everything works correctly, when I run my app again, I should still have motion. Now you might be saying, big deal. Well, remember, the whole purpose of a function is to try and shorten your code. And as I said a minute ago, we started off, we were at 23 lines. Now I'm only at 18. So yes, I did indeed shorten the physical length of my code, the number of lines it consumes. So if we look at 5, we can see here's the exact same code we just wrote. They're just asking us to add to it a little bit. So they want us to use the accelerometer that we learned about in the previous lesson to add a shake function, and they want the shake function to also be able to move the aliens. Okay, so that's not a big deal. We know how to write an accelerometer statement. So I'm going to start with a new onboard event. And no, it doesn't really matter where you put it in the code. It can be before the function. It can be after the function. It will call that function no matter where it is in the code. So it will call up this when we add it in a moment, whether it's above, below, first, last, whatever. So again, we want to call the accelerometer's shake feature. And then inside, we're going to do the exact same thing we just did. We're going to write moveAliens as a function, a call to a function. And then you can go ahead and run your code and now see that not only pressing A and B moves the aliens, but shaking also moves the aliens. Remember, the way you have to shake is sometimes directly impacts the result, so don't freak out if it doesn't move every single little time that you move your wrist. Okay, so bubble 6 is another prediction task. It says the program uses a function called crawl, but something is different about it. Read the code below and predict what you think will happen when we run the code. What do you think is happening when purple bug and orange bug are used in the parentheses? So I will admit there is a little bit of hidden code here, but I think you can make some inferences based on what you see and what you know. So go ahead and take a moment and make a prediction and then run your code and see if your prediction comes true. Go ahead and pause the video and come on back when you're done. So a lot of stuff that we've seen just today that should look very familiar. We've got some variables here and a property, but it's inside a function, so we know that we're eventually going to call this function somewhere in the code. We've got some onboard events being triggered by A and B, and here's that function crawl, but what's different is this set of parentheses. We have never seen this before. So inside this set of parentheses is the name of a thing, and those things do happen to match what's on the screen, purple bug and orange bug, but they're in quotation marks. Again, we don't really know anything about that from the code because that's kind of the hidden element here. We don't have anything to define how we got those images there or anything like that, no set properties. But what we can see here is when I press the A button, it causes the purple bugs to move, and when I press the B button, it causes the orange bugs to move. All right, so somehow this function is only being attributed to that one element or thing here. All right, and that's kind of what we want to look at next here, is how to make it only apply to a specific member of a group or a specific element that's on the screen. So here are our alien friends again, but now we want our aliens to talk. Okay, so as you can see, there's one alien that's already fully programmed, and so we probably want to go ahead and run our app to see which one that is. And as we can see, when I clicked on the blue one, it says, hello, I'm an alien on the screen. But none of the others are doing anything at this particular moment in time, so it's our objective to make the rest of the aliens speak. Well, as we can see, they decided to do that with a function, which I know because there's a giant green block in here. So it'd be helpful if I know how they did that. So I want to scroll down in my code and look at the function that's described here. So they've got a function defined as alien message with a certain given text, and then they've set some code or some attributes to it there. All right, so as we can see, not only are they setting the text, but there was also a scroll string. So if you didn't look at your microbit when you made that click, you can go ahead and click it again and look at your microbit and see that it does actually scroll that message across the microbit's screen as well. Okay, so it's our objective now to use that concept to fill in the rest of these blanks. So the function that's going to work for every single one of these is the function that's called alien message. Again, that's the name of the function. So in that first block, I type in alien message. Now that second block there, where we have that set of parentheses, that's set to accept the actual message, as we can see in the one that's already done for us. The only thing we have to make sure we do is we type that message in quotation marks. So I'm going to go ahead and type in a message here. Again, it should be different than the previous one so we can see that it's working. So I'm going to use the infamous ET quote, phone home. And let's try it and make sure it works before we go crazy here. So alien 2 on my screen is this pinkish colored alien over here on the right. So I'll run it, and hopefully if we did everything right, not only will it say it on the screen, but it should be scrolling it across the microbit. So now all we have to do is define text for all of the other aliens, aliens 3 through 6. So go ahead and take a moment and see if you can replicate that and have similar success. Again, the litmus test here would be to click the aliens. They should all say something, preferably something different, and you should be seeing that thing pass across the microbit screen because of the scroll string code. Okay, so returning from a brief pause, as you can see, I filled in the rest of the blocks. They all start with alien message. The only thing that should be different here is the quotation marks. All right, whatever you put inside the quotation marks is what the aliens are going to say. And again, the test would be then to reset and click each alien, and you should get a different line of speech on the screen and a different string across the microbit.